take it away and do it, or?
No, you've got to do it
Okay.
now, I'm afraid. What it does, it just protects us. So our conversation today doesn't need to be discussed anywhere else unless you disclose risk of yourself or harm of others to me. And if you can just cross out one of those statements at the bottom, that would be great.
Let's say 28.
Lovely, thank you. The next piece of paperwork is just about your employment situation at the moment. If you could just fill those in as best you can, please. If you've got any questions, just give me a shout. Lovely. And then last but not least is what's called a Swenwes scale. It's a measure of your well-being. You've probably seen one similar to this that you filled out with your time within the wellbeing service. This one's slightly different, and you're going to fill one in with me today at the beginning of your treatment, and then one at the end of your employment treatment, and then we will review hopeful progress. Lovely, that's brilliant. So, do you want to tell me a bit about what's going on for you at the moment with your employment situation, and I'll see how I can support you.
Okay, well, I'm a specialist mental health nurse, and I'm good at my job and I enjoy the work I do working for the trust, but I don't enjoy working with the people that I work with, but I've been told that they're going to have a review of the team that I work within, and that possibly they may feel that there's no place for the team. That being the case, that means I would then have to go back to doing what I was originally doing, just as a charge nurse, and no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it, and it's kind of, I can't at the moment I can't deal with the thought of going back to work doing the old job, which I didn't enjoy as much as this one.
Where did the information come from that there might not be a need for the service you're currently in?
That's come from my boss, and obviously that's been cascaded down by HR and the trustees and whatever, so it's something they're looking into at the moment.
But it's not been confirmed, but it's still
Not
causing
at
you a
this
lot of
point,
worry,
no.
yeah?
No.
Okay. I'd encourage firstly an informal conversation with your manager to try and gauge a bit more of the likelihood to see if it is going to happen, if it isn't. What you don't want to do is spend time worrying too much about whether it is or if it isn't, because ultimately you can't change it whether it's going to happen or not. What we need to do is get you to a place where you can either feel that you can cope with that change and you can adapt to it, or we build your CV and your interview techniques and put you somewhere else where you'll continue to enjoy employment. Why do you feel like you couldn't go back to what you were doing before?
It's just not what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not what I want to do. You know, I like doing what I do. I like working where I work, but I don't want to go back there. There could be financial implications. I mean, I've got a flat. I've got a small mortgage. However, I've got a daughter at university as well. That I try and help support, and who I speak to where we could FaceTime fairly regularly. But see, what I feel is if I go back to work, at the moment I don't feel confident enough or in a position where I feel I can talk to my boss about it.
Are you off work at the moment?
Yeah, I've been off for 3 months.
Okay. And is that with stress?
Yeah, work-related stress, yeah.
Okay.
And but what I need to do is get back within the next 3 months, because I can't afford to go on a half pay.
Mm-hmm.
Just can't afford to do it. You know, and again, I guess subconsciously that's having an effect as well.
So can you see any similarities between your job role before that you feel you couldn't go back to, and now that perhaps have both caused you stress?
it's not the job that's causing me stress per se. I like the job. I know I can do it. The issue is I'm really struggling with the thought that they're not just me, but the whole team are going to be moved around, and I don't want to go back to doing that. You know, if anything, I'd rather go forward and do something else. But you know, I mean, I can't even talk to my colleagues about it because that might definitely wouldn't have a very positive effect on me, and I'm sure it wouldn't on them either. So, you know.
Sometimes when we're thinking about change, it's easier to accept change if we've made that decision. So I understand, and when a change is being put upon you, such as we're going to move you around or there isn't a need for this service anymore, it's more daunting. It's bigger to deal with rather than if we make that change ourselves. How do you feel if I said, well, let's build your CV?
Look, I've got a good CV that I'm quite happy with. I mean, I'm happy to send you a copy for you to have a look at. I feel, to be honest, I think the support and help I need is contacting employers, because it's been a long time since I've had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of, at the way I feel at the moment, I don't feel that I'm in a position where I feel confident enough to approach and direct.
Would you feel comfortable if you were to ask them if perhaps you could have an informal discussion with them and somebody from Wellbeing Suffolk to attend, that being me? So although that request for the discussion would have to come from you, because I can't go in there as a third party immediately, we have to have some sort of...
So when you say with them, with who do you mean?
With your line manager and ask...
Yeah, but you see, the problem with that is the line manager's in the same boat.
Okay.
Because he's part of the team, so he
HR?
probably... Well, that would make more sense, because at least they'd have some idea about what's happening.
And what we could perhaps put to them is just to ask, obviously, you're not going to be entitled to any more information than anybody else, but what we could perhaps put forward to them is, because you're suffering, particularly at the moment, you're going to need a back to work review anyway, being off sick, so perhaps that could be what we ask for, with me in attendance, and as part of that, ask what the likelihood is of this job role changing.
It's, I'm a member of the union, but they've not been very supportive at this point.
Okay.
So
what I need you to get from me is, I'm sure you're aware, employment law will say that you are covered by, if you have access to, a union rep, which can normally attend such appointments with HR, or a colleague. If you want anyone from an external partnership, such as Wellbeing Suffolk, you have to just ask them, preferably in writing, so we can have confirmation of that if I can attend with you. Let's do a back to work meeting and see how you're going to get back into work. And then in that, ask about the likelihood of your job role changing, change of movements, all of that. What do you think needs to be different in you going back to work this time?
I don't think there needs to be any major changes. It's just the confidence that if I go back, there's a continuity of employment in doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand that trusts are looking at cost here, there and everywhere, but, you know, I know as working in the mental health as a specialist nurse that mental health is, you know, not getting any smaller, not getting any easier, and it's just getting more and more. I don't mind that, I can handle that. It's me, I'm worried about me and where I go from here. I just need clarification of what's going on.
So this possible change, was that mentioned before you went off sick or whilst you've been off sick?
Before I went off sick.
Okay. And would you say that is the main cause of you going?
In my mind, yes, it is.
Okay.
So at the moment, I don't feel like I could do very much at all, you know.
So it's the uncertainty, isn't it, of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's having a profound effect on me.
If you think about future employment, put all that to one side for the minute, if you think about future employment, what sort of things do you think you'd like to go into? I know you mentioned previously wanting to do something different.
I just want to do this job, or I don't want to go back to being a charge nurse. That's not what I want to do. I want to do this, and I don't really mind who I work for. Well, I do mind who I work for, but if I didn't have a choice, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm. But you just want certainty.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think if you could ask your line manager about a back to work review, they should really be coming up to approaching that situation with you anyway, because you've been off for 3 months. But if you can just contact them over email and just ask for your back to work review, if I could be in attendance
Yeah.
with HR.
I don't feel like I've had much support from work being off. I mean, I've had no contact from them really. Nobody rings me up regularly to say, how you doing, are you all right?
Have you made contact with them?
No, I can't do it. I just don't feel I'm in a position to do that. You know, I don't speak to any of the colleagues. I'm worried about if I'm out and about and I bump into them, that would just make me feel awkward, and I'll get anxious, you know, because they're at work and I'm not, and I feel like I'm not supporting them by not going to work, but I just can't.
But equally, would you be supporting them by going to work whilst you're unwell? We all get unwell. Physical health is exactly the same as mental health. It comes in waves.
I think my problem is I can go back to work and I can do the job. That's not going to be a problem. My problem is that going back to work, not knowing whether I'm going to be in work again next month.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the case, then I hope they'll give me sufficient notice that, you know, I can sort something else out.
How long have you been there?
I've been there for some years now. I can't recollect just how long, but I've been there for some time. And I've done a range of duties while I've been there. So I've been in a small team, worked in a large team, I've worked unsupervised in different roles, so I've done pretty much everything, which is what made me go from charge nurse to a specialist mental health nurse.
I think what we need to try and gather is if there's any other, if they are having this, it's a restructure essentially, isn't it? What else may be possible if you didn't want to go back to being a charge nurse? Is there any other options available?
Well, I haven't mentioned that.
That's something we need to have a conversation with them about, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what has kind of been intimated, although because we've had no official, bless you, as we've had no official confirmation of what's happening, we don't know where we're going to go back to, or if we're going to go back to, or where we're going to go back to. So at the moment, you know, I can drive to work in 15 minutes, so I don't mind travelling if I have to go somewhere, but, you know, I like this job, I like working through who I work with, it's just the uncertainty. I'm beginning to doubt whether they actually, you know, putting into place any concern for us.
Yeah. I think the thing is, particularly within the trust, things are always restructuring and changing, because ultimately we're all working with people. We know how complex people are. So likewise, our service is always changing. Be under no illusions that no matter what we take forward to your employer and your HR, we can't change the outcome of whether or not this restructure and possible change of job role happens. What we need to do is focus on what happens to you if that change does happen. Do you try and get along being a charge nurse? Do you have a look at other roles that they've got available? Or do we try and find you something else that you like more? And I know the thought of any change, particularly when you're suffering with depression or anxiety, is overwhelming and is really, it can be quite a horrible thought, but at least with employment advice we can take you through it step by step, and ultimately we just want to get you somewhere where you're going into work every day, you're back from work, and it's not so much of a mission anymore. You're feeling happy and content in work.
I think it, you know, as far as I'm concerned, as I said earlier, that, you know, I'm fairly happy with my CV and stuff like that, and I'm looking to do further training, perhaps a BA or something. So it's not necessarily my CV, although someone else's ideas might work, but it's approaching employers, looking where they are, what they do, and that's where I need a bit of support. So, because I've done it for a long time. And
we need to build up your confidence, don't we?
Yeah, maybe.
Baby steps. We can definitely do that. Would you mind sending me that CV so I can have a look at it?
That's not a problem.
And then next time I see you, what we'll do is we'll do a job search together. So today I want you to go away, send me that CV and email your employer and ask for a date for your back to work review, and if I can be in attendance with your HR so we can clear up a few things. when you send me that CV, next time I see you, we'll look at doing a job search together and look at things, what would be suited to you, and take you through in small steps how approaching employers and how employment at the moment is going, because it's the same as anything, it constantly changes, so don't feel overwhelmed or scared by it. We see clients in here every day that haven't even got a CV, so the fact you have is brilliant. We're all members of Institute of Employability Professionals, so we know what we're talking about and we can take you through it at your own pace, but the important thing is that we get you out of where you're feeling right now, because ultimately you're off sick, that's your own decision. You haven't been put off work because you're not performing well,